What is going on, folks? Good morning to everybody. This is the 18th of March for those of you who wind up coming in a little later. I'm having some issues with my live stream today, so I already did like a 4-minute one, and I got kicked off and nothing went on the net, so I literally have no idea if this is actually making it out to anyone. So I'm gonna wait and see if I get any kind of feedback here, but it's looking like nope. Well, hell's bells. Oh, hey, somebody there. Hey, good morning, Josh. Okay. I got kicked out of my own live stream. It was having a connection issue. I don't think it was anything evil, so. And this one was kind of slow to upload, so can you guys hear me? Okay. Hey, John Wick, what's going on? Jeep, what's going on? Good morning. I missed a few people in there. I saw just Josh, Jeep Girl, Jeep, Devil Dog. There you go. Semper Fi, Marine. I actually was having beers with some of your brethren yesterday. You know, Uncle Sam's misguided kids, or misguided children. Sorry. That was fun. But I left because I wanted to function today, and I don't think they function very well right now. Of course, they're about 20 years younger than I am, so they can do that. I'm at that age, I don't want to get a massive hangover for 4 days. Oh yeah, well, Devil Dog I did for while I was there, and I got smart enough to eat before I went and met them for beers, so I knew. But it was the craft beers too, the ones that they're really tasty and they taste good and they're cold, but they're like 15% alcohol. So you have 3 or 4 of them and you're feeling it. You're like, ugh. I'm like, no, I'm done. Thank you very much. You may all enjoy the rest of your foolishness. I will partake of no more of this now. I swear there was one day, one of them, I thought he was fixing to die, and it was all self-inflicted. He looked awful at work the next day. Anyway, folks, I hope everyone's doing well. I think Vision's wrapping up his. His schedule and mine have been all over the map. We've been on top of each other. I was late one day, he was late the other day. So I know Angry Prepper wound up on top of one of New York Prepper's live streams. Everyone is completely messed up with work. I'm wondering if it's because the businesses can't find anyone to work. They can't find anyone who wants to do a job. So those of us who are working crazy shifts and schedules, and we're all over the map. Hey, but you know what? If the checks are coming in, I'm good with that. That makes me completely happy. I will tell you, the energy sector is not slowing down. I saw convoys of the airfoils for the big windmills headed toward the wind farm that's just east of us, and they must have had 10 of the damn things. Hey, good morning, Shorty. The oil and gas drilling and fracking is still pretty strong. The solar farms are expanding down on the mesas down here. So the problem is we don't have the power lines, so we don't have the transmission lines to move all this energy into the market. They invested a lot on the upstream end, if you will, but we haven't invested enough in the downstream. To give you a comparison, it's like drilling a bunch of wells and having oil and gas and no pipeline. So like, you can only send so much at a time, doesn't matter how much you produce. And solar and wind are now experiencing the same thing. So yeah, I guess it's smart in one sense that you put the more expensive stuff up first, but you'd think you would have accounted for the infrastructure on the other end. I don't know, I don't make those decisions. So, but folks, it's been an interesting week. So about a week ago, we were talking about Silicon Valley Bank took a dump. And by the way, Sharon Stone, who actually is one of the few Hollywood people who I actually like as a person, because she works a lot with cancer research, specifically women's cancer, uterine, breast cancer. And she was on a show yesterday saying she lost half of her fortune, her lifetime of work and her lifetime of investing. You know, this is a smart lady, right? She's not just a pretty face. She lost half of her net wealth in the crash of the banks. And I'm sure she'll be fine, right? I mean, if I lost half of my net wealth, I'd be kind of fucked up. But you know, it's hitting everyone. Surely people see this by now, you know. But I was expecting more American banks to crater, and I was not expecting Credit Suisse to start floundering. And so there was an analyst, God, was it on Fox News? No, Sky News. They brought a British analyst, and her explanation was, in an inflationary environment, which I understand, you go into bonds, right? Bonds reflect government guarantees, and so when there's very inflationary environment, you go into a bond market, and it kind of protects you, you know, guarantees you a certain percentage, because it's the government percentage, which typically is very stable. It protects you from the inflation up and down. But if interest rates suddenly start to go up, then what winds up happening is the money you paid for the bonds, you basically start losing money. And at some point, the bond has to be sold. It has to be put back in the market. But now you're putting it at a loss. And and I'm not doing a good job explaining this, so by all means, if you're a financial analyst, hey, Joe, feel free to correct me. But if I'm understanding what this lady explained, basically Silicon Valley Bank put over 50% of its money into bonds in the hopes it would protect it from inflation. But they locked in a long term, so as the interest rates started to go up, they couldn't back out, right? Like if I buy a stock and it starts eating shit, or it goes really high, I can sell it right there, right? Done. And I may get a tax penalty, whatever, but I can dump it. You can't with a bond, apparently, the way they did it. So in order to get that many bonds, you know what they did? They took the depositors' money and invested it in the bonds. So when the interest rates hit a certain point, word got out that they could not, if they sold the bonds, they would not have enough money to cover the deposits. So it freaked people out. They ran on the banks. Now the bank didn't have money. She said if the bank was able to quietly just let the bond term ride out, they could have taken a loss, reinvested in something else, wrote it off on taxes, and made the depositors whole. I think something like that. They were playing money games, and they screwed up bad, and they crashed the bank. When they went down, they were starting to drag Republic or the other one down with it. Credit Suisse apparently did the same thing. And they asked the Saudi bank for more money, and the Saudis said, no, we're capped at 10% in any European bank. That includes you, because the Saudis have a regulation that says you can't invest more than 10% of the bank holdings in something risky like that, and which is smart. So the Saudi government said, no, we don't endorse that. The bank said, sorry, we can't help you. Now Credit Suisse is in trouble. That was interesting. I didn't expect a European bank to start struggling that quickly. Supposedly a Japanese bank is putting out red flags also, but I can't confirm that. So this is going to be interesting, folks, watching how this plays out. So who else is in the chat? And like I said, I'm driving, so if I missed you, hey, KP Heathen, Klingon, John Wick in there earlier, Elusive. Hello, Jessica. Good morning. I think that's Jessica, right? Yeah, it's Jessica. So I put out a concept last week, and I know I'm going to talk about it on Vision's channel later on, about defensive prepping. And the whole idea is, if you're in a good environment, or at least you know things are relatively stable, even if they're inflationary, you can be more aggressive, buy the jackery, get the generator, you know, expand. When you start seeing banks fail, and you're in an inflationary period, and the rates are going up, but the banks are going the other way, that's not a good sign. So you take more of what is, I guess you would call a defensive posture, which is basically turn inward. That doesn't mean hide in your basement and put on the tinfoil hat, unless you want to do that. It makes you happy. Hey, Virginia Bushcrafter. Instead, try to maximize what you already have. So, for instance, and I'll put up pictures later, I had some of those Lowe's Commander shelves that I bought years ago, and they're in great shape. They weren't fitting the bill because certain things we're trying to store either did not fit or exceeded the weight capacity, the safe weight capacity of the shelf. So I invested in new commercial shelves that I had to spread the cost out on those because those weren't cheap. But now I had these 4 shelves that I just didn't have any use for. There was nowhere for me to put them in the home. I talked to the wife, we looked in the shed, and basically it didn't fit anywhere else reasonably. So I put them up for sale, and with the money I got for that, it paid for about half of the new shelves. So there's an example of defensive prepping. I reorganized and realized, hey, hillbilly, what's going on? I couldn't utilize this product. So instead of throwing it out, I put it on the market to see if I could get income. So when I bought them originally was 3-4 years ago. So I sold them, I maybe lost $20 per unit. So you think about that, that's really good. So, and the cost of the units is now almost triple. So if the guy bought them new, so I made my money back. I got 3 years of use, and I still sold it at 75% of its value, and I saved the other guy $150. That worked out for both of us, and that's what in negotiating you would call a BPA, best possible agreement, and it works for both of us, right? He saves money, and he's got a great. All he needs to wipe them down. They're not buckled, they're not cracked, nothing. Beautiful shelving system for his house. He saved $150. I made cash, and I got 3 years of use and only lost maybe 20% of my value from what I paid. That worked for everybody. And you see, if you can kind of, hey, Loretta, and some other folks popped in, but I didn't see y'all. So again, if you have food that you're not using, I actually have some canned food that's nearing expiry, or we turned out we bought it and we're not using all of the way we thought we would. Hey, Mad Dogs. Hey, Armageddon. So what we wind up doing, what I'm gonna do, this one I'm gonna probably donate to the Emmaus Food Bank here, because they reach out to small communities. The food bank can't reach out to everyone because of their bylaws. The way their bylaws are written, they can't reach certain segments of the community, and those people get underserved. The local food banks, when I met the directors, because we're trying to coordinate something with the companies and the food bank, they're telling me one little bank alone, she gets 5 to 7 pallets of food from Sam's, H-E-B, Walmart, not Costco, the other one, I can't remember, but United Supermarkets, 5 pallets. She says it doesn't last me a month. She said, I have 1,100 families and maybe 2,400 children under the age of 14 who are not eating well on the weekends. And she said, so we're focusing on the kids to get calories into the children. They were originally had a dietitian who was like, oh yeah, you know, they need so much protein, so much carbs, but the kids weren't eating it, or they'd forget about it and it would spoil. So they changed gears and decided we're going to give the kids things they'll actually like. So they asked the parents to have the kids fill out a survey, right? No names, just what's your age and what of the following items would you like on a weekend snack? So now their little packets include Pop-Tarts, ramen noodles, cans of tuna. It's like a hodgepodge of teenager food. But she said our ultimate goal is we are now able to know that those children are receiving, especially the little ones. 'Cause she said the teenagers, they go to work at Burger King, they can slide in a free burger. You know, we know the teenagers are creative. The little ones can't get out and they're stuck at home on the weekends if mom and dad are working, and whatever's there is what they got. And she said, we know these kids are getting calories on the weekend. And So when they explained it like that to me, I was like, absolutely, I'm on board. My dad was a Great Depression era kid. He wasn't a baby boomer. Most Gen X guys like me, our parents are boomers. No, my dad remembered the Great Depression. I really wish he was still alive because the stories he told me, I could no longer help anyone. I had teaser. See, Mad Dogs, and those are things that they hit you out of the blue, right? Because, again, you're not a veterinarian. I don't think you are. I'm not. One day your dog acts weird, and you're like, what happened, dog? And then, like, 4 days later, you have $1,000 bill. But you see, so Mad Dog gives a good case. So I don't know where Mad Dog lives, but typically when I have excess, I'll offer it to guys in my it's kind of a loosely affiliated mag. We're all in our own little thing, but we don't have mags. We just kind of give each other heads up, like, oh, hey, I'm at the gun shop and they have this. Does anyone need it? I can hold it, and then you come and buy it. And but yeah, I've often offered that. So if you are in a situation, you know, there are a lot of church groups that I've seen help. I was part of one back in Houston where we would bring meals and stuff. Oh no, she has cancer. Oh, flip in the liver. That's going to be a tough road, Mad Dog. I'm sorry to hear that. That breaks my heart. And there's nothing you can do. You can't predict that, right? Hey, stewards. So yeah, it's going to be tough times. So again, I'm trying now, instead of trying to get more gear, which there's always something we need, right? Or we should be trying to get. I'm actually maximizing what I have. So now I got the new shelf space. Now I'm trying to reorganize. I did an inventory. That's how I pulled these cans, is because I was going through the cans as I was moving them around. And remember, just because you did an inventory a year ago doesn't mean you don't need to do one again. You should do one every 6 months if you can. Took a ride on the bathroom rug. Oh man. Hey, at least you're not like the engineer we had from Taiwan when we were younger. We went to New Orleans on St. Patrick's Day, a bunch of young engineers, and we lost him. And then somebody found him, and we didn't have cell phone, right? Because this was like quite a while ago. Our cell phones were those G.I. Joe phones that you had to flip up, the Motorola's that were like that thick. So anyway, we run into each other in the hotel. They're like, yeah, I found him. He's passed out on the couch in the lobby. So we got him upstairs, and we sat him in the tub. So at least you didn't wake up in the tub, although that may have been a good thing. I don't know. But yeah, folks, try to maximize what you have. Yeah, Mad Dogs, when a pet gets sick, that's an extension of the family, man. And that's a tough deal. My daughter's a veterinary biologist, so I might give her a holler later today and just ask her thoughts, anything she's seen that has been successful in the past. I'm making no guarantees, brother. I'll just ask and see. I might shoot you an email or something if she says something that you may want to really think about. But folks, now's a good time. Inventory what you got, assess where you're at, and maximize what you already have. Now, if you need things, go get them by all means. Don't not get what you need, but at the very least, make sure you have the basics. And if you don't, at least, even if you can't buy it now, you're in a budget, like Mad Dog, you have an unexpected bill for a loved member of the family. You may not be able to do certain things this second, but go through your stuff and at least know what you don't have. I don't know if I said that right. Let me rephrase that. Make sure that you know what you need before you go out shopping, so that you don't spend the money on something you need less. I didn't say that either. Anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. In other words, put the money where it needs to be. But the best way to do that is to know what you're lacking. And then you go, I need nothing, but I still can. So, yeah, exactly, Joe. Prioritize. Thank you. Prioritize, but at least know Because right now, what's a priority in my head, and I can do an inventory, and all of a sudden I have a new priority because I did the inventory and went, well, shit, I didn't realize I didn't have this item. So, take your time, be systemic. It's funny during COVID, when everyone was freaking out, I was like, okay, now I'm going to go put shelves on order. Now I'm going to pick up the Jackery because stuff went on sale left and right. Now it's not on sale anymore. And so now I'm taking more defensive posture. I'm not spending any larger amounts of money unless I can confirm that's exactly what I need. We should be doing that in general anyway, but now it's particularly important. So I'm at a gun show out in West Texas right now, and it is an absolute kerfuffle. I have never seen so many FFA kids in my life driving around little ATVs from their houses to the gun show. You gotta love living in the country. And they're in a little convoy, like it's a perfect little convoy of little pickup trucks and whatnot. I'm on the hunt for a small optic because my hog rifle needs an optic because I missed a pig last time and I wasn't very happy about that. I realized that my hey Mad Shad, my youngest son was FFA. You would enjoy meeting that one. His sense of humor is a lot like ours, and he's a character. And it's so funny, his wife's polar opposite, and she's an Army girl too, so it's kind of funny. Building some small raised beds in our semi-suburban backyard. See, Lee, that's something I need to do. Gardening is a survival skill, absolutely. Future firearms agents. No, future farmers of America. But future firearms agents could be done. Like a used truck dealership. It is. It's actually hey Loretta. Miss Loretta, thank you as always for hopping in here. Shad distributing breakfast tacos today. By the way, Mad Shad, there is a place that does breakfast pizza out here. It's basically, the dough is slightly different. It's more like a kolache dough or like breakfast sandwichy. And then they do a pizza, but it's like eggs and bacon and chorizo, and it's all kind of mixed together, and you eat it like a taco. It's kind of comical. Next time, I'm going to go find the place. It's a little joint out here, and I'll take a picture of it, and I will send it to you, my friend. Because then we can discuss the values and importance of breakfast pizza, which you can make at home, by the way, if you get some wood. Just feeding myself some chicken wings. The breakfast of the hungover champions. Yes, I've eaten chicken wings for breakfast too, hey. But in any case, folks, now's a great time. Reprioritize. The banks are taking hits. I don't know where it's going to go. It's really weird to witness this. And all the meantime, the Russians are pooping jet fuel on our drones and making them crash, which is kind of funny. When they said they downed the drone, I thought they shot it down or they deliberately cracked into it, like, get... No, they were dumping fuel on it, and I thought that was kind of really brilliant. So the propeller blades on the Hawkeyes and the Reaver drones are kind of a composite material. So when they're moving at 200 miles an hour and the other jet is moving at Mach 1, and they drop fuel on each other, imagine getting hit with a hailstorm, but right on your windshield, like just all on your windshield. That's basically the effect it has on those blades. That's why when they flew over the drone, and then when the camera came on, like all the propellers were like that. It's they knew exactly what they were doing. I don't think Dmitry, the fighter pilot, was supposed to actually smack into the drone. I don't think that was part of the plan. But yeah, we've got a lot of countries being pissed at each other right now. And now there's DOE, there's 3 agencies have come forward now and said, this may have been lab manipulated, but they sat on the report because the administration told them to. And now that the House is investigating, now it's coming out. So we've had one Air Force general say, I expect to be at war with China by 2025. I just did a video last night. The Secretary of the Army now said the same thing. When sitting generals and sitting officials make those kind of statements, that's concerning. Mad Dogs, it was actually in the Black Sea when they hit it. So it was technically an international airspace. They just decided they didn't like it. Hey, Papa's Farm, how are you? So that's not yeah, that's there's been these are the things that worry me, right? So they knock a drone down. All right, there goes, $10 million, whatever. They broke the damn drone. But how long is it going to be before lives are lost, right? The Russian fighters, hey, Tennessee Tactical. It does. It does. Now, we've crashed into each other before, right? So like the the Chinese sub that surfaced and got smacked by an American destroyer because they were playing cat and mouse, right? That was more people screwed up. Or is it an American sub and a Chinese destroyer? I don't remember. They smacked into each other. They were doing really high-speed maneuvers. These things happen. Have you heard Russia put up a barrier? If they put up the barrier beyond their, so I believe it's 20 nautical miles is considered Russian sea space, and then after that, there's 120 kilometer, 200 kilometer, or nautical miles, sorry, economic space. But the economic space is technically considered international waters unless the war is declared. Like they have all these rules. But if they're blocking international space, someone's going to challenge that. The British, the French, the Germans, the Polish, someone's going to try and remove that because it's danger to maritime traffic. And that's going to cause, and these are the things, Loretta, like you point out, that's kind of the things that concerns me. Right, and it was going on before, but there was kind of a detente, right? Like the two countries kind of knew where the lines were drawn, and they just like to poke the shit out of each other. And what we're seeing here, where are the lines now? You've got, that drone was in international airspace, right? Poland literally just gave Sukhoi 25s to Ukraine. They're like, this is what we think of Russia. Here's some fighter planes. They were going to give them F-16s, and Washington told them that might be a bit much. And they may have a point on that one because you start introducing American-made fighters. So what they told Poland was, how about this? You give up your old Soviet fighters, and we'll give you F-16s. So Poland was like, hell yeah, we'll do that. So that's what they're doing now. But yeah, you have all these little maneuvering situations, and you have a active war area. So you remember when Russia went into Afghanistan, because that was an equally terrible mess. Russia was in Afghanistan. We were helping what ultimately became the Taliban, the Mujahideen, with equipment and Stinger missiles, but we had, CIA or whoever, like spooks in the ground, like teaching people. We didn't have uniformed troops. We didn't have a NATO presence there, right? That was Russia fighting whoever they were fighting. Hey, Rapture Ready. Now we have literal NATO countries. Yeah, we trained, right, Joe? We trained bin Ladens, and then we went and picked a fight with them too. Oh yeah, Tennessee, it blows my mind seeing that many pieces of equipment. How long will it be before Russia decides, you know what, your trains, your convoys of equipment going into Ukraine are a threat, so we're going to go bomb the shit out of you and see what happens. Keep in mind, guys, when the war started, Russia had, 120,000 troops, 150,000 troops, and multiple divisions set up. What did they do? They hit the Donbass, and then they went straight for Ukraine, for Kiev. 120,000 troops is not enough to occupy a country of 40 million people. What they were trying to do was cut the head off the Ukrainian government, get Zelensky or make him run away and take out some of the leaders. And they didn't do that, right? They got tipped off by the Brits or the Americans. They were waiting for the Spetsnaz when they landed in Kiev, and they ran them off. And Zelensky didn't cut and run. He stayed and fought. So now they're like, well, shit, this didn't go to plan. So they fought. But look what Russia did, right? They withdrew from Kiev, and they consolidated in the Donbass, which they already pretty much controlled. They were not being defeated. Yeah, Mad Dogs, exactly. They were not being defeated. They realized that their initial attack plan had failed. They were doing a strategic withdrawal. They're like, we're just going to lose people here. Let's back up. And they fought. Basically, they fought a war of attrition. They're trying to hold what they could on the West. They consolidated. Ukraine moved in and consolidated opposite them. And they sat there. Okay, that was those battle lines formed up around June, right? So the war started in January. By June, July, Russia was like, okay, we're going to consolidate and reorganize. And what did they do around June, July? Putin announced they were going to recruit 500,000 troops. Well, that was the first group. They're going to do 500, 500, 500. Now let's do the math there. 120,000 troops is not enough to run into a country of 40 million and effectively do something. So I think the special military operation was kill Zelensky, and they failed. So they're like, okay, we'll do it another way. They consolidated, and now think about it. So Mad Shad, Devil Dog, if you're still in the chat, Marine Corps Basic is 10 weeks, right? Army Basic is 8+1 for processing. So let's call it 2 months. 2 months for basic training, because I don't know how the Russians do it. 2 months for basic, and AIT or A school, depending on what branch you're in, that's another 3 or 4 months. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 6 months, you have a fully, oh, it's 3 months. Okay, well, you guys do basic, and then you go straight into, no, that's right, 12 weeks. Okay, so, and then infantry school, another 3 months. And I'm thinking wartime footing, right, where you want to crank out the troops. So it's been 6, 7, 8 months since Russia consolidated. They retreated, they consolidated, and then started training people. By now, they've probably already trained their 500,000 and have another 500,000 ready to graduate from their A school or their AIT or whatever it is. I'll bet you by the middle of this summer, Russia will have a 1 million-man army, trained, equipped, and ready to go, especially with China sending them ammunition and weapons and shit on the side, right? Because you know they're doing it, whether they admit to it publicly or not. Right, and then you have the Chechens, you have the Belarusians, and what's even worse is Hungary is very pro-Putin, but now they're a NATO member, so how's that going to pan out? Like, does Hungary suddenly decide, we change sides, all of you? Then what? Serbia is pro-Russian. The Czechs and the Romanians are pro-England. So if England gets attacked, they're going to fight. You see how it's like World War I. They're all like this, and Russia's about to roll. Somebody was it 800,000 troops Russia has? School is 6 months. So Mad Shad, you do the math with me. So 3 months basics, so start in June of last year. 3 months, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. In wartime footing, if they're doing their basic 3 months and then school for 4 months, even if it's 6, they're going to be ready soon if they're not already ready. You kind of see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, no, Europe's been such a shit show. While we were paying for people to transition. Oh, Rapture, don't even get me started with the CRT. So, but since you brought it up, so apparently I've been told by other friends I have who are leaving the service that their friends who are still in found out that even if you are transitioned or you're under the CRT or the LGB whatever process, if you were born a male, you were still eligible for the draft. So there's no exemption. And if you're a pregnant female, you do not go to the front line. If you're military, you'll find another role in support. So I think, you know how they say weak people create hard times and the hard times will create stronger people or stronger men and women? I think we're about to witness that. I think you're seeing a lot of people focused on stupid. Hey, Fed Up, what's going on? Hey, Papa's again. I missed a few folks in there. Hold on. Virginia Bushcrafter. Ark Wildman. Hey, I didn't see you in there. Hello, hello. So anyway, well, think about this, though. Yeah, hey, Jessica. If this, and for the record, I know, I've met a lot of folks who are, of the LGBT community who will absolutely go to war. They'll be like, nope, I signed up, I'll go. So I'm not worried about them. They're going to fight regardless of what you want to call them or what they want to be called. I'm fine with that. But look at the public. Look at the general public. If they do a draft now, we have kids who get winded walking around Target. Oh, thank you, Fed Up American. I appreciate that. We have children who are getting... There's all the good early deals in the show. Yeah, no, I am. I'm going to see. Right now, it's a bunch of teenagers, so I'm assuming if they're college kids, they're looking for those bolt-action 22s for the rifle team out here in the universe at the little college, so... No, Mad Dog, absolutely. Well, I got my sons will be dragged into that. I don't know if they'll call us out. So I have a few service member buddies, they're clients of mine. And thanks again, Fed. I appreciate what you did. Service member buddies out here who, they're like, man, we're all like gray and old and we're pissed off now. And we're not going to play nicely. Like, y'all come here, it's going to be bad. We got backhoes and we'll armor up bulldozers and run you over. And I'm like, what are you guys watching like zombie movies again, aren't you? But no, yeah. Between all of us, we know where all the chemicals are, heavy equipment, det cord. We know where a bunch of stuff is. Like, if things went ugly, we'd basically go to the sheriff and the county judge. The way Texas is structured, the county judge and the sheriff become the bosses with the mayor. It basically becomes a tribunal. We'll just go to them and be like, swear us in. We're too old to go over there, but we sure as hell can do stuff here. And, yeah, no response. Hey, Metal, what's going on? Yeah, well, we have the commercial det cord, so it's fancy. It has the nice green coating. It's all pretty. God, I watched a guy, true story, on a civilian project, legit project. He tried to cut det cord with metal scissors, and one of my operators tackled his ass. It's like, that's not what you do, you idiot. You're gonna turn us all into hamburger meat. Good Lord. So I ran him off location. I was like, you're out. Go stand over there and go like coil the hoses. Just get away from our shit. Good Lord. Yeah. Good. That gives me creeps just thinking about it. Yeah, no kidding. Oh yeah. Well, they'll disappear in the bayous. The freaking Cajun, like South Louisiana. The British already found that out 100 years ago. They never came back. Man, they'll be pushing these jackasses into the gators. But yeah, so folks, going back to the original topic, though, we went down the rabbit trail today. Going back to the original topic, guys, the market's weird and the banks are now failing, which means they screwed up, right? They own this shit. They should be in a congressional hearing explaining how they screwed up. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I do know the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank sold $4 million worth of shares 2 weeks ago. Like, he dumped a pile of them, which means the timing is really sus, and the FBI or SEC should be on that guy's ass. He should be right now under oath explaining why he did that. And stupid Jim Cramer is a pendejo because he told a bunch of Investors, oh yeah, Silicon Valley Bank, it's great, put your money in there. And those folks lost their asses too. So don't listen. That guy's a tonto. I like to listen to him and do the opposite because it works out better. But anyway, folks, I'm going to go run into this gun show and see if I can find that little short scope, because my scout rifle has a sight in the middle of the action. It's a bolt action. The sight's in front of the action, and my current scope's hitting that sight, and I need something smaller so I can look down, probably a 1x4. Yeah, whatever Jim says, do the opposite. But guys, right now is a great time. If you have money in an investment account, maybe transfer it to your savings, bring it closer to you. So in an emergency, you go to your local bank and you can pull the money. You don't have to transfer from one place to another and bring it here and go there. Also, remember, if you have a medical FSA, you have insurance from your company, you can use it for over-the-counter medicines and supplements, certain ones. Double check your benefits if you have them, and use that money, because that was pre-tax money and you're saving there. And you get the deduction on your taxes next year. Inventory, reorganize and inventory again. Understand what you need before you go shopping so that you don't put the money in the wrong place. But guys, I will see you later. I'm going to go see what fun stuff. Now, I was going to do a live in there, but I asked last time and they said no, because a lot of the vendors get uncomfortable, and I totally get it. So you guys be good. Be safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. I will see you later this week.